So designing views, right? You can do it from the tool studios. You can do it from App Studio. You can do it from Dev Studios. But the recommended way is doing from App Studio, and we're going to try to do it from App Studio in this video. Let's go to data. We're going to be trying to build base out of a data page. So in this scenario, we're going to be in the data. We're going to select the dictionary, and that dictionary is tied to the dictionary data page. We're going to use the rest of the video. As you can see, we have two property here that we're going to be using, the incident type, and we're going to also be using the incident subtype. You can see the relationship between the two. So when it comes to configuring views, right, the view is typically dependent on there's a one-to-one relationship between controls and the field. So in this scenario, for example, here we added a field, but what are the different options, right? We are usually familiar with what text, field, Boolean, currency, all those ones typically mean, like email, internet. But something particular you found in Constellation is the three that we are going to mostly use all the time: embedded data, data reference, case references. Typically embedded data and data reference being the top two, right? Now you have those four additional. Now you can also have user reference, which just be like providing you a list of different user. For this scenario, I'm looking for a pick list. So I'm going to select the pick list. Now in the pick list, I have three other options. These options represent the controls that you will see on the screen. It could be a drop down list, it could be a search box, it could be a radio button, right? But for this exercise, we're going the route of a drop down list. And once you have the drop down list, you have to now select, okay, how do I source the drop down? It could be local, or it could be from a data page, right? Typically, like we used to have in a section on when you create a property, you could have a local list on the property to source the drop down property. That's something similar here now, right? In your field, you selected a control, you say you want to show it as a drop down list, but how do you source the drop down list? You can source it here from a local list, which is where we'll add a different value. But in this scenario, we're going to go with data page. And if you've been developing for a while, the different data pages, would you have the option now to go, okay, what data page do I want to source or load my data with, right? In this scenario, I'm thinking of dictionary, which is part of my exercise. So I would take dictionary, I would take a list of dictionary filter field. Okay, my data page is configured. I now need to pass in my parameters. So I have a constant over here. This is going to be an incident type. Don't have a parent key. So I can submit and add another if I have multiple field when I'm building a data model. This is really convenient because you don't have to go out and come back in again and again. You will click submit and add another one, so you can have facility of building all your data model, including your UI controls, before going to application and reviewing it. So we're going to add another one here, which is going to be incident subtype as part of the exercise. I want to make another pick list in this scenario. I want to be a drop down. I want to be from sort data page. And this same data page is going to be pass as a field, which you can only put and look at it as a property. Parameters, that's going to be parent key, incident type. Okay. That should be good. Those are the two we added. We added an incident type, an incident subtype. Incident type is a pick list. In the terminal, tell us more application. Incident subtype is another drop-down pick list. And we create a link between the two in this incident subtype, right? So now we're gonna go and try to configure the category view. Now, when it comes to view, there are 4 types of view. There's a full page view, which basically the 3-column layout you use, and there are the full view. You see the list view, which is basically the one that come out of the box, like your read-only views. That will typically come like your anything list, we typically saw out of the box here. Your partial view is also more versatile read-only. The first 3 are always read-only, and your 4th one is typically a form, so collection of information. You can take in your edit view. This is where you see all your form. You can create another form here. So in my scenario here, looking at this view was created. Before I go there, the main category, that's a form, right? Go to the main category. This is where we are typically in here, right? So if you were building a component, you would typically get the option loaded from your field component. It will typically show you for you to select a different way of displaying it. But in this scenario, we are using the default template. We could also use a hierarchical form, which is showing more like a tab. Over here, in the default template, you have 3 options. It could be a 1-column layout, 2-column layout, 3-column layout. If you think about the way the sections used to be, right? You could drag a section, dynamic layout, and you could set it in presentation tab to be what number of columns you have. In the skin layout, in the skin rule, for example, you will typically go and add and create a new skin version if you want a 6-column grid, and that will be it. Over here, to do that, you will have to write a TX component that will give you the options, the DX component that you upload, and you come here and select your DX component, and then put the option from your DX component to be able to select 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 columns, right? The out of the box configuration that you have here will give you those 3 options only, with which you have to progress. Now, to configure this incident type pick list, remember when we built it, we selected a drop down by default, right? So, but we can always change here. You will see we have more item drop downs when you have a shorter amount of, like a list of couple of items, right? If you now have like a long list on drop down, you're better off selecting a control that's more appropriate, like a search box. Now, if you have like 7 items that need to be selected, you can select option as a radio button. where you need to select one, like you have 7 option, 6, I think between 6 and 7. Less than 7 for sure is ideal what you want. You want to select only one. You want to show all of them. That will be your way. But if your list is extremely long, the search box control will be the right way to go with. So in section-based Pega Cosmos, you would typically have the visibility condition where you could just write an expression. It's no different. Here in the view, you can do the same thing. You can just see over here, come back in this subsection, come back here from the beginning. So I have two fields, two property. You can see a two property and two different UI controls, right? I selected pick list for my example. Now in this pick list, I said, okay, I don't think I have a long list, keep it as a drop down. I selected the default, whatever the drop down value, the name of the pick list was set up. But here in my visibility condition, which is often used, right? I have, if it's not blank, but see, this being a subtype, there's a custom condition in my requirement. And I have to kind of put it based on the property. This is where I select a custom condition. I have the option to be advanced mode where I can write a different field and operator here and combine the properties like we do in the typically on the when rule, or you can select here and just write expression. So in my scenario, I have to, there's a dependence between my subtype and the incident type, right? So I will select the incident type and I will check that the incident type is not known. So if I select this incident type, what are the different value related to my subtype, right? So it's not known. That should be set. And as soon as I save, it got saved. Say after you did configure your view and your instruction need to change, right? You have the option to be able to, you want to need to write some text. You can write to override the instructions of the view, and then you can put here. Please select the type and subtype of your incident. See, it gets saved automatically. And at the property level, like we used to do in the dynamic layout section, the helper text, which is basically more like an instruction, you can see it to help. It could be in sometime in the gear account, like if like someone will over to CLV help, or it could be at the bottom of the field. So this is how you add that for the particular field. You see, it will show at the bottom of the field selected. Let's do the same for the sub. You can see we check both the required field condition we put on each of the field, and we saw also the dependency of the two drop downs, right? Now the helper text, as you can see, is showing at the bottom of it to be able to have additional insight on what is expected for this drop down selection. So this kind of guided text is going to be more needed when you are handling an application to a lot of users, because instead of having a one-size fit of banner at the top of the view that dictate what the entire application is, you can have that, but you can also have at individual level of the field more insight, more example. Now you could, for example, get an example of value that need to be entered if this was a field type, like a text input field, right?